Coming up on Theater Talk, what made you trust Lisa to have no trepidation about trusting your masterpiece?
Well, I knew Lisa's work. I mean, we both come from the street, from the lesbian street.
I'm trying to picture the lesbian street, the hard street.
I don't know why I keep going.
Have you, it must be all new to you, Jeanine, the lesbian street.
Well, I have an announcement.
Anything for a Tony Award.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
Caption. My dad and I were exactly alike. I see everything. Caption. My dad and I were nothing alike.
Ring of Keys from Fun Home. The powerful and really gut-wrenching, in a good way, new musical now at the Circle in the Square.
Got a lot of laughs, too. Don't forget that.
It does indeed. We're so pleased to be joined by Jeanine Tesori, who wrote the music for Fun Home, Lisa Kron, who wrote the book and lyrics, and Alison Bechdel, whose novel, Fun Home, based on her childhood and life and her relationship with her family, is the basis for this amazingly wonderful musical.
And for those of you who aren't in New York, I can tell you that Fun Home is generating tremendous excitement here on Broadway as an original musical, American musical, by the way. It had great reviews at the Public Theater, and it is about to open at Circle in the Square, so welcome to you all. And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
And I'm Susan Haskins.
All right, so what was the attraction for you guys to Alison's novel to turn it into a musical? Was it your idea, Lisa?
Yes, I worked on it first for a little while before Jeanine came into it.
Trying to write the music yourself back then?
Yes, yes. Interestingly, that didn't go very well. Knowledge of music
Everything
would have
sounded
helped.
like this.
I didn't see what was wrong with it, but then I was disabused of my fondness for it. So
Once I took the accordion out of your hands, we were.
oh,
That's
first
right.
I thought about that. I
I
give me my
knew there was an
accordion.
Oompa Loompa song missing somewhere.
But I want to go back. I want to go back before you got to it, and I want to ask Alison to give us, a thumbnail description of what this story is about your life.
It's a memoir about my childhood with my father. It's about actually just a few months of my life when I was in college, when I came out as a lesbian, told my parents this great news, and found out that my father had been having secret affairs with men for a long time, which really blew me away.
You had no inkling at all?
No,
growing up?
no idea. Although looking back, I started putting it all together. His,
Big
obsession with antiques and
Jerry Herman soundtrack collection.
I say, let's rethink. We've got 2 days before we open.
We do.
Let's put it
Get
back.
that number in there. Get that back in there. Sorry, Allison, before you so rudely interrupted by your composer.
That's okay, because this is part of the craziness of the whole thing, because then the story takes this terribly tragic turn. My father, shortly after all these mutual revelations, killed himself. And so it was this terribly confusing time of my life, these few months when I was 19. And even then, or shortly after that, I could see that this was kind of an amazing story, that, my father and I were both gay growing up in this little town. Our lives took very, very, very different courses. And I felt like I wanted to write about that, but I couldn't. Nobody knew my dad was gay. No one even knew he killed himself. He was hit by a truck. So these were big family secrets that I didn't think I could reveal. But 20 years later, when I was almost 40, I felt like, I think I can do this. I think it's not going to be so terrible for everyone.
And also in the 20 intervening years, you had become a very important cartoonist.
Well, I had become a cartoonist. I drew a comic strip for many years called Dykes to Watch Out For.
Dykes to Watch Out For.
Yeah.
And so you were developing this skill and artistry as a graphic novelist and cartoonist.
Yes. More importantly, though, I think there had been so much cultural change in those 20 years, that it was possible to write this book.
What about the issues of other family members when you're reviewing the family secrets? Or if there are family members who you waited for them to die before you really came out and told things? Or how did they react to what you decided to talk about the family in the book?
My mother was not too keen on it, but she, I was very straightforward with her. I told her I was going to do it. I showed her and my brothers the drafts of the book, and they thought I was a little nuts. They didn't quite know why I would want to tell this story.
You dedicate the book in part to your mother. She's played by Judy Kuhn, a very important character in the musical, because you wonder how your mother endured what her part of the secret.
This is something that these guys did amazingly, was they fleshed out the character of my mother in a way that I didn't in the book. I knew my mother would read the book, so I tried to keep her character as minimal as possible.
What is the mother's song that gives such a tone to her character?
One of the things that we did with Helen is that Helen was a pianist. It always feels so strange talking about your mother. We do it.
She's still alive, your mother?
No, she died like 2 years ago.
I mean, that's the thing about this piece is it wasn't just writing a story, it was writing Alison's story and her family's story. And so there was always that kind of, you're on the third rail of your family is coming, you're coming to see it. And so we really wanted to get it right. And I remember that one time where we had there's certain things you have to make up and fictionalize. And I remember you said, that didn't happen, but it could have happened. And I thought, okay, now we understand this world. And so Helen's song has this sound. And she sings, days and days and days, that's how it happens. Days and days and days. So she lists all the ways that a lot of women in that time, it's made up of these bite-sized chunks where your days are filled with tasks and things that you do, and suddenly you look backwards and you think, where did it all go? When you look at it a page or a frame at a time, you can see, but not while you're in it.
Perhaps tasks filling up your days because you're looking away from something you don't want to know about? You fill your days up sort of with illusions in some way because it prevents you from confronting what's really going on in the family?
Maybe. Yeah, my mother certainly kept herself very busy. I mean, both my parents were maniacally busy with their various creative pursuits. And I love how the play captures that, too. My father restoring our house, my mother playing the piano, acting in summer stock. It was a very lively, creative household.
You have a wonderful image in the book that you say, our house was like an artist colony, and we were all in our different pursuits, isolated from each other, but completely creatively involved. Lisa, how long did it take? Were you working by yourself or with Alison to boil down this amazing book, which is nonlinear as your musical, it jumps around in time, to how long is the musical? 2 hours?
Oh, no, it's about an hour and 40 minutes.
And I have to say, to compliment you, I was so mesmerized by it that I never looked at my watch, I never looked at my program, I never asked myself, when is it going to be over? And that's very high recommendation. Go on.
She didn't rush to get to the ladies' room at the very end.
No.
I worked, sort of thought about it and worked on it for about a year. I think I started in like 2009, and then Jeanine and I started working together in 2010. Alison gave us this tremendous gift. She really turned it over to us, and she was very available when we had questions about things. The book feels, I mean, I have to say, it's a masterpiece. It's like we've been able to refer to it like the Bible. Every single time we've done a rewrite.
Quote by, sometimes we're at that point where we're like, on page 61, on that cell over there.
And it's a very interesting relationship between that book and what we've made, because we've had to. In theatrical terms, there are no scenes. There are no characters. In the sense there are theatrical characters. There's no, but when you read it, you feel like that's happening.
Wait, what do you mean there's no characters? I'm a little.
I mean, you see Bruce in this moment. You see him as a child.
Yes.
You see her imagining of him, maybe walking down a street in New York. But in terms of a theatrical character that has an arc, a forward-moving arc, that does not exist in the book. So when it came to having to figure out what was going to happen in this play, it took, I would say, a good 3 years before we, and before we could figure out what the mechanisms were going to be, what would entail a scene, because nothing happens in her childhood in dramatic terms. Nothing changes. You can't. So there's a feeling like you could just, and I think there were people who felt that we should make our lives easier and just have this be a forward-moving narrative. But there is no, the things that happen in the childhood don't add up to his suicide.
What made you trust Lisa to have no trepidation about trusting your masterpiece?
Well, I knew Lisa's work. I mean, we both come from the street, from the lesbian street.
You're going to picture the lesbian street. The hard
street. I don't know why I keep going.
Have you? It must be all new to you, Jeanine, the lesbian street.
Well, I have an announcement.
Anything for a Tony Award.
I'm engaged. Right, anything. Right.
So anyway, you were saying that you knew Lisa.
Well, yeah, I knew her work with the 5 lesbian brothers. I didn't.
Oh, I love that.
Because I used to live in New York and I was around them, but I didn't know her autobiographical stuff that she went on to do well in 2.5 Minute Ride until we started working together. And then I read that and saw her work and loved her stuff even more. But because we came from the same place, I knew I could trust her with this lesbian material and to get it right.
Is this the first lesbian musical on Broadway?
I would.
Can you think of another one?
Mame? I mean, Vera and Mame are pretty close there. But
Well, I think so.
I'm sure there's others.
No,
I don't think
for
an
sure.
openly lesbian, or even in the closet lesbian musical.
Well, I think it's, Lisa has this great quote that people say, oh, it's a story that's bigger than a lesbian. She says it's actually the same size. This is a story about a father and a daughter.
Yeah.
And
well, but that's interesting too, because we don't see a lot of musicals about fathers and daughters.
that's exactly, I mean, what you just said is so much of the core. In the dramatic literature, in plays or musicals, fathers and daughters are not examined. We thought of King Lear. There was one other that someone had said, and it's fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, but not fathers and daughters. And it's a very complicated, often complicated relationship that is. Mine was, yours was. You have this amazing relationship with your father, but you examined it in 2.5 Minute Ride to such a degree that I find that, well, that's the one other piece that I would say is a father-daughter.
Violet.
Violet, right.
I was thinking that there's about the question of its attraction to a wider audience, and I thought, that's I think what I haven't noticed is that people ask that question to say, well, I love the piece, will other people be nervous about it?
Right.
And there's that kind of an assumption, but I thought for us, there are probably more people who have personal relationships with lesbians than people who know the King of Denmark or the Prince of Denmark. You know what I mean? It's like all the time.
Two well-known
Or the
lesbians.
King of Siam,
Theater,
right.
when we go to
Yeah.
theater, we identify with people. I'm not a salesman, but I can go see that play and identify with that person. That's what we do in the theater. Yeah. And I got several texts and emails this week, from women who were like, I had no idea that I had never seen myself in a musical and how much that means to me. But that doesn't mean that those people weren't going to the theater all the time and identifying with other people, as we all do. I mean, every woman has that experience because there have been so few female protagonists in general. But we know, because we love the theater, that you can identify with people who aren't like you. Right. We know that.
Your father is the main character, a magnificent performance by Michael Riedel.
And it's harder when you're older to begin.
But the thing I find myself wondering is, in this time where we all are aware of more of equality, would this man have suffered so and lived so if he had been living at a different time?
That's the whole story.
Yeah, it's the whole story. What a painful existence he has. But then you wouldn't have been born if he...
I know.
He wouldn't have written the book if he'd been liberated and comfortable with himself.
Yeah, it's a weird, conflicted feeling I have. I mean, I love the play. I love celebrating it, but it's also, there would be no play if my father hadn't killed himself, So there's this...
And there'd be no you if your father hadn't felt he had to get married and have a family, even though that wasn't what he wanted.
Right.
In his heart, yeah.
Well, that's where the drama exists.
Yeah, that's where the drama exists.
When this came to you, were you thinking, ooh, like Annie, cash cow.
You know me, Michael.
I know. You're always
first.
going for those crass commercial shows all the time.
I would say this is the most important musical that I've ever written, ever. It brings everything that I feel like I've ever wanted to do in a piece. And
now, can you be more specific?
Yeah, I think it's a woman close to my age on stage, and that idea of that you're looking backward as much as you're looking forward, and trying to understand and grapple with what your parents gifted you with and what they burden you with, and that's universal. And Mark Harris, the brilliant writer, had said, it will only affect people who are parents or children. And that really says it to me. You're always, until the day that you die, grappling with that relationship. And then you get to the part, sometimes if you're lucky, where you grapple with your relationship with your own kids and your parents, and you're sandwiched in between. And you separate those gifts from the things that from the boulders, I would say. So I knew that it would be a musical as soon as I read the book, because you could feel there's a great heart and a great soul and a great intellect behind the book. The musicality and the abstraction is the only thing I think that, when we discussed it, I thought I knew that it could sing because of the things that remained unexpressed. And between the incredible conflict, how it would do that was really a hard, it's just like all musicals are hard. This one was particularly hard because it doesn't fall into a formula. There's no, I don't like formulas anyway, but a lot of characters sing because they want something so badly. But how do you do that if you don't know what you want? But you have your family. This is from The Who, and they sing, he wants
the real feather duster used on the bookcase. Find all the books we read and carefully restore. He wants
the Hepplewhite sweet chair back in the parlor. He wants, and they're like, what does he want? Yeah. We can feel it even though we're 7, we're 9, we're 10. We know that there's something, but you can tell at that age, I knew in my other father, what he wants is not what he has. And that incredible fear of a kid that you're not enough.
When, Alison, did you realize in the writing of the book, oh my God, this is the thing I've almost been born to write? When did you realize the magnitude of what you had done?
Well, I don't know. I was just very devoted to that project for a long time. I worked on it a long time, just alone in my basement, without showing it to anyone, without selling it. It was a very personal, intimate project. I guess when I finally did sell it, it was an exciting moment to think that it was something that was going to be publishable,
Wow.
Can't live outside the basement.
Well, and then we'll go.
I'm curious, Jeanine and Lisa, when you guys are sitting down to write the show, is there a moment when you find the musical voice of the show? I mean, can you give me an example? Maybe the first song you wrote where you said, that's the tone I want to set.
Really early on, because Lisa's done a lot of lyric work but hadn't written a musical. So the very first thing that we did is we sort of set up our own musical boot camp and wanted to locate that part of, in that time, the singer-songwriter quality of it. The Ring of Keys has a singer-songwriter feel to it. The opening, which Lisa identified, I just came up with it and we figured it out after the fact why it was important. And the very first thing we wrote, which was based on your script, was that, can you sing it? Because I can't.
This is your big break, Lisa.
Finally, it's all paying off.
Here's
right
a chord.
Here, get ready, people. Daddy, hey, Daddy, come here. Okay, I need you. What are you doing? I said, come here. You need to do what I tell you to do. Listen to me, Daddy. Hey, right here, right now, you're making me mad. Something like that.
Right. I wanna play airplane. I wanna play airplane.
I wanna play airplane. I wanna put my arms out and fly.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, that's the heart. That's going to be the heart of this piece, with the desire, and then that's where we started.
I think we knew, Alison's book begins and ends with that image of her flying, and I think we knew, a musical has to have one primal need, a primal drive that's straightforward and that pulls it from beginning to end. And of all the things that were complicated about this, I think we knew from the beginning that desire of that child to make that to get her father's attention, not just his mental attention, but to make physical contact with him, that she wants him to pick her up. She wants to be picked up by her father. That desire is the desire that the adult Alison doesn't know is her desire, but it is what pulls this from the beginning to end. And so we don't have an I want song, but in fact, the first line of the play is, Daddy, come here, I need you.
Right.
And she demands that he
That's the
pick her
locomotive.
up.
And she'd given you that in the book.
It's in, I mean, you know, really, even though we made up so many things, you know, there are scenes and lines and all kinds of things that are not in the book. But that being said, everything comes from the book.
I want to interject. You have this astonishingly wonderful cast. And you had the great and very audacious idea to have Alison played by 3 women, one of them being a now 11-year-old child.
She just, in that, as Mama Rose would say, you either got it or you don't.
Yes.
She got it. You know,
Sydney
she really has it. Sydney Lucas. But they all, the thing that this, you know, this show is a family of actors. And I know that sounds so cornball, we're a family, but they have been all doing it for a really long time. No, everyone practically has traveled with us if they've been able, you know, to fit it in their schedules, and we have really stood for each other. In the final rehearsal the other day, we looked at each other and thought, is this it? I guess this is it. You know, now you go fly away, but that kid has something happening here that is so unbelievable.
I heard you call her a savant recently. I loved that.
Yeah, she
That's
really
accurate.
is.
Alison, is there a particular song in Jeanine's score that is your favorite or touches you the most?
Jeanine and Lisa's score.
Sorry, Jeanine and Lisa's score.
They're all amazing.
The lyricist.
Jeanine's a giver.
They're all incredible songs, and I sing them to myself constantly. I won't sing now, don't worry.
Go ahead.
But I guess I would say Ring of Keys. Ring of Keys, the amazing Butch anthem.
Yes, how you discover you see your first Butch lesbian as a child in her.
Yes, and that you have a child singing this in the play, which feels very brave.
How does that go? You played the intro, but
Can you give us a fuller version of Ring of Keys? Feel free to join in, Alison.
Someone just came in the door. It's going to be a little higher. No one I ever saw before. I don't know where you came from. I wish I did. I feel so dumb. I feel I'm going to have to drop down. Your swagger and your bearing and the just right clothes you're wearing, your short hair and your dungarees and your lace-up boots and your keys. Oh, your ring of keys.
I know you. I know you. I know you.
Yeah.
bravo. Now, before we go, I wanted to say we've neglected, I think, to mention that one of your father's jobs was he was the director of a funeral home, hence the name
Fun Home.
Fun Home.
That was what we called it.
And one of the great numbers is when you kids are playing in the Fun Home. You made up the conceit of the television commercial, though, for Fun Home.
Yes.
I was looking through the book to see if I'd missed
It took
that.
us a long time to figure that out, but we, you know, obsessively did commercials. I mean, kids of that generation did commercials.
But this is a huge metaphor through your book of the funeral home. Can we get a little bit of the Fun Home commercial song? You could even join in on that one, Alice.
Oh, God.
Come on, Alison, you can do it.
Your uncle died, you're feeling low. You got to bury your mama, but you don't know where to go. Your papa needs his final rest. You got to give them the best. Come to the Fun Home. Sing with me, Jeanine. That's the Bechdel Funeral Home, baby. The Bechdel Fun Home. Next to Baker's Department Store in Beach Creek. Oh, it's high. Wow.
Now,
I gotta have little
We
have
got
this child who has crazy gifts.
now you're never going to get her away from the piano. So,
I never
Play another one, Jeanine.
We're here now.
We're here all night. We got a million of them.
All right,
We have a million
the
of
show is Fun Home, based on the excellent graphic novel by Alison Bechdel, written by composer Jeanine Tesori, and Lisa Kron is also the director. And now I know
The director, Sam Gold.
Oh, sorry. I always assumed that you direct your.
No, Sam Gold is the director.
Never,
Wonderful.
no director,
wonderful.
never. Know how.
And I know these two are. I know they're confirmed theater geeks. Has this made you into a theater geek?
I'm becoming a theater geek, yes.
But there's still resistance, I detect.
Well, and it's just, there's a lot to catch up with.
As you can tell from this show.
All right. Thank you very much for being our guest on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bravo. Roll the credits. Show the picture of you flying. Thank you. Thank you.
I know you. I know you. I know you.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Cory and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, plus public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.